Welcome to the JAMODI podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. What's one thing that makes your program different?
Well, this is one of those things that, and this ties in with what I've been saying, but I mean, that's interesting. That was the next question. And that is just love for the game, love for the game and respect for the game. Kids don't have a respect for the fact that the NBA exists only because Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and Magic Johnson came at the same time and saved the league. They don't understand that at one time the league was playing at 40% capacity, and the NBA finals were being played tape delayed after the 10 o'clock news. They see the NBA now and think, well, that's the way it's always been. Well, three guys saved the league and made it. And so love for the game, respect for the game, history of the game. I want to put that in my gym, and that's important. Now, do I succeed at that? Probably not half as much as I'd like to, but that's definitely a big thing for me.
Would you say that that's a big factor in your recruiting, is that you're looking for players that, you know, if their high school coach says he's a gym rat, he loves being in the gym, loves spending time?
I would say versus every high school coach that you hear, every college coach that you run across in the recruiting trail, that's just foremost in their talking. They'll use terminology of, he's got a great motor, and of course that's new terminology, but it is perfectly put. It's very definable. What's kind of common about or funny about terminology is, 10 years ago, if a coach said a kid was a dog, that was just like that meant he was loafing, and it was just a horrible. That was just like almost mama called the coach problem, and now that's like the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
It's the diving on the floor. He's competing, doesn't care what position he's guarding. He's just going to compete, be physical, and be tough, But anyway, yeah, it's hard to find those kids, but it's definitely a major part of recruiting because we can take kids we believe who their skill level needs some work, and we can improve that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think all college coaches would basically say solving the motor problem is much harder in terms of taking a kid and speeding him up 30% after he's just played probably 10 years at the same speed he's going right now.
That's a good point.
And what's so funny is, I go watch my grandson was in Upward Bound when they were 5 and 6 years old, or 5 or 6 years old. They were playing harder than they do in high school.
One thing that I think as a player, you're always looking for separation. Like, how can I separate myself from all of these other players that want the same thing? And I think with all that structure that we talked about earlier, one thing that could separate players now, is that love of the game and wanting to be in the gym and wanting to outwork other people, because it does seem to be fading a little bit, or just less. You just see less kids with that motor, like you talked about.
Oh, there's no question that is a great separator from the kids. And without our athletic scholarships, we are left to recruit the kids a little undersized, the ones who were the second leading scorer on their team or third leading scorer on their team. Those are the kids we get. So we look for how much room for improvement is there in these kids. And one thing that's unique that I've been pointing out to our incoming seniors turning into freshmen is, I think the year that kids make the least improvement in their basketball career is their senior year. And there's complacency that hits, and also now they're the one getting guarded by the 10th grader in practice every single day, and they probably did better when they were the 10th grader guarding the senior 2 years ago. And so I think that's for high school coaches. I think that's something they need to evaluate and trying to figure out how to be creative to attack that dilemma and that problem. Because I think the more I look at it, the more I see it. Is I've watched kids play at events as a junior and watch them as a senior, and coaches will sit there and they'll say he hasn't improved any. And I think I've kind of figured out the reason why.
Yeah. And sometimes those, before their senior year, they don't know, or they haven't made up that decision of what they really want to do after. And so they've been training as if they want to go play in college. But then sometimes those kids, they get to their senior year and they realize, man, deep down, I don't love the game the way I thought I did. And so I'm just going to have a good senior year, but I'm not going to put in the time. And they fall into that trap a little bit. You're right. I think you're right on the money with that senior year.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad part about where the game is right now. Great programs find a way. Probably I would find one of the top 5 high school programs in Tarrant County is Mansfield Timberview, and they've won state several times and been numerous times. And I was talking to their coach just a couple of weeks ago, and the way he explained it made a lot of sense to me. Okay, and when you play the game in summer ball, that's good. That's when you're playing to show kind of your individual, what you got as an individual player. Now, when you play high school for Timberview, that's when you show all the coaches how you can fit into a team and you can be part of a successful team. And I thought, man, you have figured it out. And he's not putting down what they do in the summer. Use that to your advantage to show your individual creativity and individual skill and all of that. And then come to practice and play our games, to go to the state tournament, to show that, hey, that this is how I fit with a team. So I think that was an excellent thing that he pointed out.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.